It's been months. I'm talking like 7, 8 months at this point since you and I have been able to do one of our favorite things get on a Zoom call, click record, and discuss one of our most polarizing players in this sport, beloved for many different reasons and ways. I call him Henny B. You call him Hum Rizzy. It's the one, the only Ben Humrichous. And Brad Underwood on Illinois' first day of practice yesterday was speaking with all of Illinois media members. Everybody was there covering this as they always do. And we got some video clips in quote form from a lot of different media members. However, the one that I'm going to source on multiple different videos that we make today is Carson Gordy at Gordy Report at Gourdie Report on Twitter. Shout out to Carson, great reporting on all this. Had the phone out, and we got great behind the scenes looks at how Brad Underwood is looking at his team. He was speaking on Ben Humrichous. Get ready, folks. Buckle up. Quote: "He's made as big of a change as anybody." Is the quote. "I don't think he's just glad to be here now. I think he's ready to be a really productive player." Brad went on to mention that Humrichous is 25 pounds heavier than he was last season. And if you take this at face value, it certainly sounds like Brad Underwood is expecting, number one, a much improved Ben Humrichous, but possibly number two, a bigger role for Ben Humrichous. Again, that's just my interpretation of this quote. I will say, I want to read this word for word from a member of our Discord. Join the Discord, by the way. If you're an Illinois fan, you want to be surrounded by other Illinois fans and take part in this great community we've built, you should join it. However, one of the most trusted Illinois members of our Discord is a guy that goes by Bins. Love Bins. And we were going back and forth on this in the Discord yesterday, and I quote from Bins, quote, "Anyone listening to what Underwood says in press conferences at this point, dot, 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 never mind. We probably should not make it life or death based on what Underwood says at a press conference. He likes to get the people going a little bit. But 25 pounds heavier, Humrichous isn't just happy to be here now. Your thoughts?"
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been a Humrizzy defender. I remember saying he had more eligibility. I still think he has more eligibility. I'm pretty sure we could work out another year. It's just a part of the development. Last year was his sophomore year at the Division 1 level. That was only his second year. It's a part of developing into a player. You know, he's a 4-year guy, filling his body out with 25 extra pounds. He had a bad shooting year. He shot 34.3% from three. Like that's still pretty good. I think he's going to be able to shoot the ball. He's adding weight. I think he realizes the role for him is at the four for this team or for any team for that matter. And he's kind of filling his body out to kind of be able to like take more hits. To me, that was I mean, he had a lot of issues. Like, if we're going to be honest, a lot of issues. But one of the bigger issues he had is I don't think he was mentally or physically equipped to take the beating that you take at the Big Ten level in comparison to Evansville. And I think that's why he's adding the weight because he can take those hits, then go down the court and still be able to shoot, still be able to attack the basket, use some of his athleticism. And I just don't think he was able to play to his full ability just because physically and mentally he wasn't equipped for like the physicality of the sport.
Okay, that's fair. Do you think adding 25 pounds is going to change that?
That's a lot of pounds. I mean, was it muscle or what? Because I've added 25 pounds too, in honor of Humrizzy, but it's a different 25 than I'm hoping he added.
Yeah, look, the weight stuff is probably the important part of this quote if it's real. Now, I would just say this. I don't know that any player in Illinois history outside of Dane Danger, who they want us to believe really reshaped his body, even at Illinois, I think he probably did. But I don't think any player in the Brad Underwood era at Illinois has ever put on 25 pounds of bad weight working with Fletcher. Like that's not possible. So he's the best strength coach in the country. If Ben Humrichous put on 25 pounds, I would assume it's entirely muscle. I would assume he's gonna look like a Greek god. I don't know. Here's my issue. 25's a lot. 25 signals to me that they wanted him to gain weight. My pushback would be I don't know that that's going to help Humrickhouse, who, respectfully, from what I saw in year one, his problem was slow feet. I don't remember seeing Ben Humrickhouse get bulldozed. I don't remember seeing him get physically bumped off his spot like crazy. Now, I don't think he was a great rebounder. I think at times he would get caught ball watching, and maybe that's the push here is he wasn't a good enough rebounder. We need him to be stronger so he can bang on the boards. But to me, it was awareness based stuff that hurt him on the boards, not a lack of frame or lack of physicality. A much bigger issue for Ben Henrichhouse's minutes for me was that defensively he wasn't quick enough to get out and guard stretch fours on the perimeter. I don't think he could do that at all. I don't think you couldn't hide him at times. He was just too slow. So to me, even if it is 25 pounds of muscle, even if it leads to one more rebound a game, is he slower? Is he quicker? Is he the same? If he's still as slow as he was last year, you're going to have defensive issues. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I trust Brad Underwood and Fletch. I don't think they've ever had a player come through and from year one to year two physically get in a spot that's worse for the team. So I'm just going to trust him, even if it sounds crazy. The part of this quote that, again, to Binz's point, maybe we shouldn't overanalyze. But you already know what part of this quote is going to get me going here. And it's he isn't just happy to be here now. Dion, does that mean he was happy to be here all of last season and Brad Underwood knew that?
I think it's a I think it's a situation where like I don't know. Pope said it a lot with the Kentucky guys. Like, they're just proud to put on the uniform. They're just happy to be here. But I think Pope channeled that energy into them playing for their lives every single game. I don't know that Underwood channeled that with Humrickhouse, and I think he was just kind of like happy to be at the Division 1 level at a Power Five school or Power Four school, excuse me.
Dion, how's your job going?
Beginning of the school year, everything's like a little up and down. One of the biggest issues we've had is we can't find any uniforms for our girls' sports teams.
Mm, that's a difficult thing to find a solution for. I know damn well all about that because I got a daughter that just turned 2. She's into sports and she's already outgrowing every little piece of sports apparel she had. Thankfully, I know Clara Kate Creations. Clara Kate Creations was started by a former high school teacher who quit because it wasn't cost effective to send new twins and a 2-year-old to daycare. She found it easier to make girl sports apparel than finding it to buy. And I am so thankful that she exists because if we have an old shirt of Murph's that she's outgrown, we can send it in and she takes that piece of apparel that means something and upcycles it into an outfit that Murphy can now wear as she grows up. She makes great stuff. It's honestly kind of like your fullback's wife, Kyle Juszczyk. Is that how you say it? She does that. But honestly, I think Clara Kate's coming for Mrs. Juszczyk's job.
I love that. I'm a big Juice guy. Love his wife. Love Claire Kate even more than both of them, though.
You can send in your own custom ideas and she will come up with a design. She's just the best. Look up Clara Kate Creations on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and more. Sure, I don't blame him. Like, I want to be clear. I'm not attacking Ben Humrickhouse with what I'm saying here. Like, a kid that went, what, NAIA up to Evansville, up to Illinois, should be happy to be there. I would have the biggest smile on my face ever if I am Ben Humrickhouse and I get to come to the Illinois facility every day and not just come to the Illinois facility every day, Dion, but mind you, start 21 games in a row to open a season on a top 25 team over Will Riley and Merez Johnson, right? Like that's the part that's lost on me here that frustrates me is I feel like Brad is being honest and accurately assessing what he had with Humrickhouse last year. He had a guy that just approached the entire season from a bewildered, man, I can't believe I'm here standpoint. He played the game as if he didn't believe he was worthy of the role he was given. And there was that moment, remember, he's a religious guy. He went viral for preaching about his mental struggles and confidence, right? I applaud Ben Humrichous for going through that and sharing his journey, but I also sat back and said, listen, as a fan, I don't think you want your starting four speaking in depth about having his confidence issues. Clearly, that's a huge part of Ben Humrichous' journey last season. For me, this would drive me nuts to hear Brad Underwood come in and be like, yeah, last year he was just happy to be here. It's a lot better now. Okay, cool. Why the hell were you starting this guy over the first round pick, Will Riley, and Merez Johnson, who's pretty clearly pissed he didn't get a good role and now is at a conference rival? That's a problem. It shouldn't have happened. You tried to save the season at the end of last year doing this, mind you. Because again, Humrichous started the first 21 games. About midway through those 21 games, he fell off a cliff. Then you had some injury issues after you benched him. You had to bring him back into the starting lineup. Then as the season ended, when Illinois went 5-2 and finally got hot at the end of the year and played their best basketball, Humrichous was the furthest out of the rotation that he had been. He played 13 minutes in their loss to Kentucky, 16 minutes in their win over Xavier, did nothing of note. So, like, by the end of the year, Brad got there. It's like, shit. And it almost saved the season, in my opinion. There were more issues than just Humrichous. But I'm so confused why we're revisionist historying here a little bit, being like, well, yeah, last year he was happy to be here. Now he's not. So now we've got our hands on something great. You better hope so, because, man, if he really was just happy to be here last year and you've assessed the situation that way, why'd you bring him back? Like, you didn't have to bring this guy back. And that's one of my issues with the Illinois offseason is they didn't go out and get a better player than Humrichous while losing Riley to the draft, while losing Merez to Michigan. Humrichous is currently the projected starting four this year. And we got to say on day one, he's not just happy to be here anymore. God, that would drive me insane if I'm an Illinois fan. Just would.
I think it would drive me crazy as well. I think it was a great point by you. Like, my issue with it isn't necessarily like he was just happy to be there. I think you could predict a Ben Humrichous who went from NAIA to Evansville to Illinois would have some element of just happy to be there, kind of lackluster. I don't say going through the motions, but just not as like focused as everybody else. It's that he played him over Will Riley, who went like 23rd in the draft. That he played him over a Merez, who had one of the better summers I think any any player in college basketball had, and is now at a conference rival. Like, if Underwood just handled it differently, I don't think any of these quotes are an issue. I don't think the way Humrichous played is an issue. I don't think Humrichous adding 25 pounds of muscle and there being some optimism around him is an issue. The issue is the way Underwood chose to utilize Humrichous last year.
Yeah, right. Which, again, I want to move on. I want to move on from last year. But respectfully, doesn't the act of bringing Ben Humrichous back and framing it this way mean we can't move on from last year?
Yeah.
Like, you're banking on the guy that you yourself say was just happy to be here last year being a totally different guy. So jury's out, right? We got to see. We got to see. If Ben Humrichous is not a totally different guy and he's still starting at the four, you're going to get a lot of criticism from your own fan base as much as anybody else's. Because, man, I don't think anybody was sitting there at the end of last season being like, we should keep playing Ben Humrichous a lot. And it seems Brad Underwood's going into this year with that as a big part of the plan. That's why you bulk him up 25 pounds. And that's why you talk about him in this way. So how do you think it's going to end? Do you think it's going to be a better year for Humrichous? Because I have been on record, as much as I'm being very pointed with my thoughts on this, I've been on record. I expect a bounce back from him this year in a positive way. I think he's going to shoot the ball better. With that said, all summer when I've shared my thoughts on this, I have envisioned him coming off the bench in a smaller role. To me, if Humrichous is playing 15 minutes a game in the Luke Goody sixth man role, I think he could be incredible. If you bulked him up 25 pounds to play him 30 minutes a night at the four, I am so out on that. So I don't think it's fair to Ben if that's what's going to be expected of him. How do you think this is going to go, both role-wise and his performance?
Role wise, I think I'm somewhere in between you. I think he does start at the four, but he plays like a limited role. Like I think he can start at the four and only play like 20 to 21 minutes per game. Um, how it works out, honestly, I think Petro's a much better point guard for what Humrichous wants to do. I think assuming Andre's healthy, Andre's a much better wing for what Humrichous wants to do. Big T obviously returning, Kylan obviously returning. The team fits him standing in the corner and just shooting a lot better than last year's team fit that. And I think it could have some success, but I mean, ultimately, if I'm going to be honest with you, like I really like this Illinois team. I'm trying to convince myself to like them even more than I already am. If Rickhouse is the starting four, I don't know that I can fully convince myself of it.
Yeah. I just want to see him in a smaller role. I think it's best for Illinois and Ben. I think you get the best version of Ben the less you ask of him this year. And my gut read body language PhD from Brad yesterday is that's not the plan. It sounds like the most improved player that put on 25 pounds and has a totally revised mindset. I would think that guy's going to play a lot. So I guess we'll wait and see how it goes. It's a big gamble by Brad Underwood if that is the expectation.